Welcome back. It's the Too Much Curb podcast, hosted by Michael Santos. We just had another race a couple days ago. Imola, a great one, a great race. It's been a couple of days, so I get to have a little bit of perspective when looking back this episode. So, are we in the middle of a title fight? I think so. I was a little hesitant to say it before because people were saying Red Bull's going to be great and Mercedes were saying we're not as good as we were before. But, everybody's like, you guys are a bunch of liars, which is what they did in the past. So we didn't believe them. But we do now. I think we might have something. I was even a little hesitant to say it after Bahrain because Bahrain is a power track and Imola is more twisty curvy, more of a little bit more downforcey than Bahrain was, and Max did even better at this one. So yeah, I think we've got a title fight in our hands. So now I'm interested to see if Max can actually hold Lewis's feet to the fire, because it's one thing to win a race, lead a race. It's another thing to hold it together for an entire season. I think that he did a great job last year. He didn't make too many mistakes. A lot of the problems that he had was DNFs with mechanical issues or just problems with accidents that he didn't really cause. So that's something that he has to deal with. So we'll see there. I think he can. I think we're going to see, hopefully, a race all the way to the end. My preseason prediction of Lewis winning the Cup was probably a little, I spoke a little bit too soon. I hope I did. That'd be awesome. Or at least we can keep it really close, I hope. That's going to be awesome. And for the Constructors' Cup, there's a question of, is Bottas going to get in form in time for Checo to get used to the car? By the time that Checo gets used to the car, is Bottas going to be better than he currently is? Because Bottas isn't in the best form right now. He's been kind of anonymous for these first two races. So hopefully, I don't think really Bottas has it in him. And Checo, I think he's going to be better for Red Bull in general. I do think that he is kind of going, he's diving ahead first. He's diving in too hard. I think he's trying to push a little too hard for trying to get comfortable with the car. And I'm going to talk about that more later. But we're not only looking at a title fight, we're also looking at a fight just with everybody. I read that in the top 8, and for qualifying, there was only 0.487 seconds between them in qualifying. That's the closest since 2012. That's insane. That's awesome. So, I think we've got a great season on our hands. Max Verstappen out front. Great job from him. Great drive. He had the Lewis Hamilton experience where he gets to be in front of everyone the whole time and basically bust out time trials. And so not much really to say about him. Great job to him and the Red Bull team. Lewis Hamilton, even when he has bad luck, he's got great luck. It's amazing. Literally happens every time. Every time that Lewis runs into a problem, something happens to save him. He crashed into the wall, and I thought, this guy's race is over. This is done. We're gonna. I don't remember the placement right now, but I was really excited to see a mixed up podium. But yeah, I was pretty sure that Lewis's race was done. He sat in the gravel trap for so long, he got lapped backed back into the track. They're like, oh God, Lewis. And then literally, freaking 10 seconds later, bop! His teammate comes in clutch. Both the Mercedes driver and the Mercedes youth driver, Russell and Bottas, crash. Causes a red flag and lets Lewis unlap himself. Incredible. He messes up and he still gets in a position where he can come back and fight. And he did, and he came back and got second. That is insane. He's a great racer, and he's got the best luck in the world. And I think it's because maybe of the karma that he puts out in the world. Lewis is he's been kind of embracing the wise guru of Formula One. You know, these young guys are posting on Instagram or whatever, saying how happy they are, how disappointed they are. And Lewis is like, you're doing a great job. This is what this sport is all about. You got this. I was like, man, it's really cool. I don't know. It's only 2 races in so far, and I do appreciate him. I've always appreciated Lewis. I hate that he wins all the time, and I hate he's so freaking good. But I do appreciate him a lot. I appreciate a lot of the causes he stands for. I like how outspoken he is. But man, I just appreciate that guy. We're lucky to have him in the sport, honestly. There's a lot of people who hate him, and you know, for one reason or another, you know, we don't have to dive in too much as to why. I think we all know all the reasons why, but regardless, he's one of the best of all time to do it. And if you doubt that, you are blind and stupid. Because I don't know. But anyway, his work speaks for itself. So one of the people he commented on was Lando Norris, who was really sad because he had 2 purple sectors in Q2 and was all set up for a second row start, but he went too wide at Imola, and his lap was deleted. And Lewis came in. It's like, oh man, it's all right. It's all right. You show him the pace you have on Saturday. I mean, on Sunday. You've got this. It's like, you know, it must have worked because Lando had an amazing drive. You know, we had that little team decision to have him, you know, to let Ricciardo pass, which is, you know, understandable. Lando was definitely faster, and I think that they did it in the right way, and I think it was definitely the right call to do. And yeah, he got a podium. I was really concerned with that last stint. Both of him and Ricciardo were both on the softs while everybody was on the medium, and he was trying to hold back Lewis for a long time. I was really worried he was going to wear out his tires, and then Leclerc was right behind him, like ready to gobble up that place. But all credit to Lando, he freaking did it, man. That is a great drive. He's doing awesome this year so far. McLaren is going to be taking the fight super hard for 3rd place. After Danny gets his footing, gets his bearings in that car, we're in for a great fight for them. And I think that the ones that they're going to be fighting the most with is Ferrari. Yeah, Ferrari. For the ones from last year who were disappointing and crappy. You know, the car was horrible, but, you know, Leclerc got in on the podium. Leclerc overdrove the hell out of that car. But did he overdrive that car? And did he overdrive that car, or is Vettel just that bad? And, you know, I've talked a little bit about Vettel's mentality in previous episodes, but, you know, who knows? That car was a dog. It's definitely better this year. You could see it's definitely been helping out Alfa Romeo as well. It probably helped out Haas too, but they've got 2 rookies, the strategic geniuses that they are, hiring those 2 guys. But anyway, yeah, Ferrari is looking solid this year. I think Sainz is a great addition. I think that Leclerc obviously is an SS tier driver. Yeah, they're going to be the biggest. I think that them and McLaren are going to be the ones that are going to be fighting. We thought it was going to be Alpine and Aston Martin, but they're toothless this year. It's really disappointing. It's really disappointing that they're not very good this year. And granted, they have Vettel and Alonso, who are still new to the car and have yet to kind of get their bearings there. But yeah, even we have Danny and McLaren, and he's also getting his bearings in the car. But when I talked about that top 8, Daniel was in there, Alonso and Vettel weren't. So hopefully we can see some greater drives from them. But yeah, Alpine and Aston Martin not looking great. And Ferrari, Sainz is also new. He wasn't in that top 8, but he got 5th in the race despite all of his spins. He was keeping up the race pace with Leclerc really well. So yeah, so I touched on it a little bit, but the new guys had trouble this weekend. Yeah, the best one who probably made it through was Danny. His pace, I was a bit disappointed with his pace. I'm a Daniel stan. Maybe I'm not a stan. I'm just a big fan of Danny, and but he kept his nose clean. I saw solace in that, and I was really surprised that he got out of the car, and he had his interviews, and he was just still smiling and cool. I'm like, man, he's all right. I think that's a good sign. They know what they need to work on. And when you think about it, the same reason I think that he didn't push this weekend is the same reason we saw so much trouble with a lot of these new guys. Is they're tricky conditions. It's wet, and Imola is a punishing track. There is no airport runway worth of runoff for when you screw up your corners. There's nothing but grass and gravel traps, and that will mess you up. And we saw it happen. All these guys struggled in these cars, and not even the new guys, just a lot of these guys. But Imola is really cool. Imola so far is 2 for 2 in the races that I saw there. Checo, Vettel, Alonso, Tsunoda, they all struggled. They were getting punished super hard, and I think that a big reason is that they're pushing really hard. They're out to prove themselves, but they're not necessarily there yet in the understanding of the car. I think that you got to take a step back. Know that you're not going to be on pace with your teammate. And Checo and Tsunoda, they both have great teammates. Vettel and Alonso, they've got teammates, but still, these guys have been in the car longer. Well, actually, Vettel and Alonso, it wasn't like they weren't really spinning too much. they were just not on pace. But yeah, I think Checo is Checo and Tsunoda. Especially the Red Bull guys, of course. I think they're the ones that have been trying to push super hard to really prove themselves. And unfortunately, they're getting kind of punished for it. They just need to learn to walk before they can run. They'll get there. They're obviously both quality drivers. You see moments of brilliance from both of them. Haas boys are new too. They're both struggling, but they're rookies in a stupid car, in a crappy car. I'm glad that our boy Mazepin was able to live to his name. Got one in there. It was great, perfect. Best way to end the race. But yeah, so something I do want to talk about. I want to circle back here on Lewis's lucky charm from this race. I'm glad that I waited a little bit to talk about this. It wasn't right after, because I was able to digest and I saw and process what I saw and see how it kind of worked out. Because when I first saw it, I was not happy. I was not happy, man. George, that George and Bottas crash. I think that the crash and the incident itself really overshadowed the fact that they saved Lewis's ass like pretty hard. I didn't even realize that Lewis was lapped until after. I was like, oh, of course he was. But so Williams were looking great this weekend. Latifi, unfortunately, he's one of the boys that spun, came back on track, tagged Nikita, and ended his race. I think we're all hoping that it was Nikita Mazepin's fault, but it wasn't. I'll take it, whatever. But George was in the points, surprise, and going for a very aggressive overtake over Valtteri Bottas. Over the outside, Bottas shifts a little to the right, tiny bit. I don't think it was on purpose or anything. It doesn't seem like it, and it looks like George had plenty of space, and a lot of people agreed. George overcorrects. He reacts, gets his car in the wet grass, spins out, slams into Bottas. They were going fast. They were going fast as hell. And they both crash out. Big, nasty crash. So, both of these guys is kind of in a heavy crash, heavy accident. Thank God that Formula One is as safe as it is these days. I mean, this very track is where Ayrton Senna lost his life. So George is pissed off. I thought that he was just pissed off just because, once again, he bottled it while he's in the points. But no, he was pissed off at Bottas. He went to our boy Valtteri. He charged over there. He stomped over and gave him an earful. Bottas said afterwards he literally had absolutely no idea what he was saying. I'm sure he could tell it was very aggressive because Bottas flipped him off, and George slapped him on the side of the helmet. You know what's funny about that too is that the commentators were like, "Oh, George is headed over there to make sure that Bottas is okay." No, he wasn't. He was like, "Man, I can't believe you've done this." And he smacked his helmet. "Oh, I'm just so upset. I don't know what to do." So, that's not cool. That's not cool at all, especially when it was George's fault. Maybe he didn't know it. He didn't realize that it was his fault that he did this. Fair enough. Tensions are running high, adrenaline's rushing. He overcorrected. He doesn't get to race people like that. Not these days. And the thing is, you can't slam on somebody's helmet. Like, it was a little tap, it's able to brush off. But even George says afterwards how fast and hard the collision was. And it's dangerous. You don't know if Bottas had a neck injury. You don't know that. There is absolutely no way that you know that. And you smack his head. So I in the past I thought I was going to be a firefighter one day, and I completed my EMT certification. And one of the things they teach you is if there is any reasonable suspicion that there could be a neck injury, you do not want to mess with that at all. Because if your back's messed up, that means your spinal cord's exposed, potentially. If any minor movement, any misalignment, it can cause paralysis. It could cause, extenuating permanent damage. And it might be silly. It might seem silly, especially when you see George's slap on Valtteri's helmet, because it was like a little tap. You could say it was just a little love tap. No, man, no. It's like it's a little love tap after a almost 200-mile-an-hour crash. Come on now, be better than that. I know that, like I said, adrenaline's running high. Whatever, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. Everybody was okay. There's no need to dwell on what could have been. But then, so what I expected what was going to happen is he's going to get off track, look at the footage, and be like, "Oh, I was completely stupid. I didn't know that it was my fault." No, what he did was double down. He went to multiple interviewers and just started talking reckless. Like he was saying the only reason that he was saying that Valtteri wouldn't race anybody else that hard, which is, it's Valtteri. Let's be fair. Maybe he wouldn't. Valtteri isn't. He's a nice guy, but he's not that aggressive of a driver. Hence why they were fighting for 8th place. The Mercedes and the Williams. Like let's put besides the fact that let's forget about the fact that it was a Mercedes being overtaken by a Williams. Great weekend for them, but it's Mercedes. But anyway, he was saying that he's the only one that Bottas would race this hard, and basically saying that he acted so aggressively because Russell is the one that's basically in line to take his seat, and he's the next shoe-in for it. It's like, Russell, chill, dude, shut up, stop talking, man. What the hell? No, man. Okay, when Alex Albon said last year, they raced me so hard, everybody was clowning him for that. And absolutely, they should be clowning him for that, because it's Formula One. Of course they're racing you so hard. Bottas defending his position against you is not that big of, like, of course he's gonna race you freaking hard, especially if you're not even, like, let's forget the fact that it's George. It's a Williams coming to overtake Bottas. It could be anybody in that seat. He doesn't want to be overtaken by you. Come on now. Yes, he's gonna fight hard. And the little juke that he was complaining about was, there's a lot of it looks like a lot of movement in Valtteri's steering wheel, but it doesn't equate to that much movement in the car that I saw, that I was able to see. And I think most people saw that too, because he still had plenty of space. I see these Formula One cars literally, like, being in the negative space between the wheels as they're racing side by side together. These guys get close. George, he had at least like a foot and a half of space. That's being conservative. So that was just really silly to me. And he just kept going off. He kept doubling down on this. I'm like, dude, George, what are you doing, man? And the next day he apologized, which I'm glad he did, and everybody knew he was going to. There's no freaking way that he could just talk like this, and people are saying it's Toto. that told him to like, just that told him to, go and clear the air on what he was saying and apologize. But maybe he did. I don't think so. George is a big boy. I'm sure there were people that talking to him and be like, yo, not cool, dude. Like, you can't talk like this. Number one. And number two, it was your fault. This accident didn't need to happen. Despite what the voices in your heads said about crashing so that Lewis can get back in the race. Okay? But he apologized, but I think it was just a case of his mask slipping off a bit, George has shown to be a gentleman, a perfect British gentleman all the time. These guys always have like a ton of PR training, you know what I mean? George, if anything, is inoffensive to boring most of the time, you know what I mean? He's not very fun to he's not a fun guy to listen to, and he doesn't have a big personality. He'll open his mouth a lot of the times, like, say, I don't know. He like defended Albon last year, and that was like, I think that he was on like a little high because he got into Q2 feeling real big, and he's like, I don't think that Red Bull treats him right, and then it was Horner, and Max told him to basically shut up, you don't know what you're talking. stay in your lane, worry about what's going on in your house. I don't hate George. I like George. He's a good racer. I think he's got a lot of potential. But I think moments like this are what are just evidence what I mean when I say like he's got a lot to learn still. There's a lot of George has a huge fan base, man. George has a fan base that loved him, that think that he's like freaking, I don't know, he's like Michael Schumacher right now, just sitting in that Williams, and as soon as they put him in that Mercedes, he's gonna like become like a 12th time world champion. Oh man, that's not how this works. He's got a lot of growing up to do. He's got a lot of maturing to do, and the thing is, he's right in that Bottas is probably the one who has to worry the most about his seat with Russell. Obviously, he's a Mercedes youth driver. He did well in his only race with them. Bottas isn't doing the best right now. Lewis is going to be retiring soon. Yeah, it's probably going to be Russell in that seat. But Russell can also do bad this season. You know what I mean? And if Russell is not on form, and then somebody like, I don't know, Ocon, that's another guy who is managed by Toto. Like, why wouldn't he come into the conversation before Russell? It's not a guaranteed position to be in, and Russell might think that behind the scenes. What he said, while he was running in the heat of the moment, leads me to think that that's what he does think, and he's probably accurate in that. Sure, but I don't know. I just didn't. I didn't really care for that. I thought that was. I know, and I always try to give the drivers the benefit of the doubt for running the heat of the moment, like I said, but just the fact that he was just going on about it like that entire day, like after he got a chance to, step away from the accident and step away from the track just in pit lane, But, here I am talking from my computer chair. I've got a steering wheel behind me, but it's not a Formula 1 steering wheel. And any crashes that happen in my gym shorts and no shoes. So, I can't really relate, but yeah, I know that he's stewing in that Williams seat. He's tired of being in there. He knows he's destined for better things, and I can't blame him. But yeah, I really wasn't a fan of that, and I think I hope that humbled him a bit, and I hope that his fans can chill a little bit in thinking that he's like the best thing since sliced bread. Enough of that. I talked a lot about that. I just thought that was very interesting to me though. That dynamic. And I feel like gonna just say one more thing. I feel like I do say a lot of stuff about Russell, but that's, I don't know. I just want to keep everything in perspective. You know what I mean? There's a lot of hype around this guy, and I know he performed well in the lower formulas, and I just want to manage expectations, you know? Like, and me speaking as the expert who's watched an entire Formula One season. I don't want to brag. Yeah, you know. Who is it, Ross Braun? I don't know. Never heard of him. Just kidding. Okay, so besides this race, which was an exciting one, I can't wait for 2 weeks. 2 weeks, I think, is the next one, is the Portuguese Grand Prix. Can't wait. It's going to be sick. 3 weeks was way too long between the first two races, though. It sucks. I hope there's not too much of that. That is way too much time. So anyway, outside of the race, the Miami Grand Prix was approved for 2022. Woo! That is super exciting. I am located in Florida. I am a Florida man myself. In Tampa Bay area. And my buddy who watches Formula One got super excited. Hope, instantly texted me and said we should go. So maybe one day, maybe we can go to Miami to watch, as long as it's not too expensive, which it maybe. So I just wanted to talk about a little bit about my thoughts. I saw a lot of people criticizing the decision to have one in Miami. Florida is very flat. I'm sorry. Florida is a very flat place. There's not going to be Imola style elevation changes. There's a lot of tracks that don't have elevation changes. Isn't Sebring also in Florida? That's another great track, I believe. So the track looked all right to me. A lot of people were pissed that it was a parking lot race, which I don't see the big deal. They're not going to be racing. I don't understand. You mean like a massive piece of asphalt that you could do whatever you want with it? Yeah, that sounds horrible. Yeah, that sounds awful. No, it doesn't make sense to me. It's who cares? I think the track looks fine. I don't, just looking at the map, I think it looks fine. I have no complaints on it. I think a lot of people were saying too that why even do this? Americans don't even watch F1. They're not going to appreciate this. And I don't think that's true. Let me tell you why. The sport, besides this, that the sport is growing a lot with Drive to Survive. So Miami has a certain lifestyle associated with it that even people who aren't necessarily interested in Formula One are going to want to go to. And they're going to want to come and see the race and, the glitz, the glamour of it. And if you think that's a bad thing, I think we should look at Monaco, because most of the people there, I would say, at least most of the people that you're seeing social media posts from, aren't that into Formula One. They're into the yachts, they're into the Rolexes and, the glamour of it. You think these guys are out here, hoping that, I don't know, hoping for a great session from, I don't know, Haas or something? No. It's a party. And I think that Miami is going to have that same sort of vibe. I think that's why they chose Miami. One of the reasons. It's going to be the Monaco of America. I guarantee you somebody is going to use that in some sort of commentary or something, some sort of marketing. I don't know. But you know what? In the city, so St. Petersburg, they host we host the first race of the IndyCar season every year. And we've been doing it for, I don't know, I think 10 years or so. I was really hoping to go this next year, but COVID's made everything weird. I think that we eventually had the race, but we didn't have any fans there. But St. Pete isn't a IndyCar city. You know what I mean? St. Pete isn't known for having massive IndyCar fans. And granted, IndyCar is American, but that's fine. I actually don't know anybody who watches IndyCar. I actually don't know anybody who's into motorsports, period, except for my buddy who's into F1. And the rest of us just play Gran Turismo. But anyway, like, it's a big deal every time that it comes to the city. It's the talking points. It's like they close a bunch of the roadways. They close off our runway of a small airport here, but nobody complains. Oh, it also goes through a parking lot. So screw you guys complaining about parking lot racing. They do it in IndyCar too. But it's a big deal. Everybody has a great time when they go. And the last couple of years, I rode my bike. Me and my wife, we rode our bike by the track and watched the cars go by. And I didn't know anything about IndyCar. I only started following the sport of Formula One, last year. And maybe I'll start watching IndyCar soon. I don't know. But anyway, that's besides the point. I'm just saying that Miami is going to be fine. It's going to be a big party there. It's going to be a lot of fun. Hopefully there's not too much COVID restrictions, even though we are talking about Miami. So who knows? Yeah, I'm excited for it. I think it's going to be a good time. And the last thing I want to talk about is woe is me, Aston Martin whining. They are quickly becoming my least favorite team. I don't like Haas either, but at least they have Gunther, and he's funny. At least his antics are funny, even though he's probably not the best team principal out there. Let's be honest. But anyway, just cry me a river, Aston Martin. They're complaining about the new regulations on the low rate cars. God, it's just put a disadvantage to them. And Otmar won't shut up about it. He's complaining everywhere he goes. And apparently they threatened to sue the FIA, which isn't a thing. It's not going to happen. Sorry. You don't get to sue the FIA just because you're unhappy with how your car performs after the fact of regulations that went through all the channels to get implemented. It doesn't work. I'm sorry. And as much as Otmar is complaining, I think it's Lawrence Stroll behind it. Come on, threatening to sue the FIA. God, that's big billionaire energy. That is some American energy here. I know he's not American, but he's from the Americas. That's something that if they announce Trump Racing and they just stole a design from a bigger team, which I also think he would do, and then they got screwed over the next year, instead of, doing the hard thing to fix your stuff, which, they obviously took the shortcut of stealing the design. Yeah, I think they would I would think they would threaten to sue and talk big game. I'm sure they promised their investors big results based on their car from last year, which I was really surprised, seeing how many sponsors actually signed up. It feels like they came really fast all at once, I mean, make it work, boy. Make it work, team. But it's not working. I guess is what what I'm coming at. It's like listen, they took the shortcut of stealing from Mercedes. Okay, they pissed off everybody in the paddock, and then Lawrence Stroll's like, I guess they should have built a better car. People hate us because they ain't us, basically. It's like, it's just so douchey. It was just so crappy for him to say that stuff. And like, they lost their advantage that they got last year from stealing. But so does Mercedes. And you know what? Mercedes is fighting up front. I guess that's the benefit of actually being, knowing what the hell is going on with your car and having two great drivers. No disrespect to Vettel and Stroll. Actually, Bottas isn't that great of a driver. Never mind. They have Lewis. At least they have Lewis. But yeah, it's like, are you really gonna get mad at, like, I don't know, it's you stole my homework and you're gonna get mad that the teacher marked off points for you? I don't know. It was targeted at Mercedes. You had your little fun in 2020. Yes, we didn't expect the regulations to be the way that they were in 2021. We're supposed to have the new regs. But, that's the gamble that you take. And it's happened to so many teams before. And you know what? If the new regulations help cause the fight that we're seeing with Red Bull right now, I'm sorry. I don't care. The fans don't care either. Aston Martin, get your shit together. We don't care. We don't care about your billionaire problems. All right? And with that, I'm going to end the show today. Thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate it. Make sure you like and subscribe. Feel free to follow me on social media. Too Much Curb. Actually, what is my Twitter handle? Okay. Follow me. Just search for Too Much Curb Podcast. I'm pretty sure it's Too Much Curb is my Twitter handle. That's embarrassing. But okay. Thank you so much, guys. I will talk to you soon. Bye.